magnitude stars. So it's out there. Okay, so this is a bit, but we're seeing as it goes along on that drawing, we're just looking, this is just looking from the ecliptic, measuring the stars as they're going from the ecliptic. There's a whole nother agenda that could be done from the equator, and the stars would be in different places and there would be different effects added to this. Right now, this is enough to hold together. So this is what we'll be working on. We'll touch on this a little bit. This is a closer up picture. Here's his sun. His sun's in Leo. It goes through Virgo. Leo goes, touches Regulus, goes through Virgo, goes through Libra, touches these two stars, Spica and Arcturus in Libra, and then like this is his life spread out in the stars. So there's only one point where it touches the star by the ecliptic. But if you're looking at when it touches by the equator, there's 3 other dates. There's 3 other times when that star is going to be accentuated to the, there's other factors involved in these events. So you're trying to analyze the complex or what was going on. You have to look at both dates because what happens at one is going to affect what happens at the other or build up to it. So again, we'll be going over this much more detailed in progressions, but there's a lot to get to. So this just shows this distinction. There's degree in the ecliptic, there's degree in the right ascension on the equator, which is why if you think just really the signs and houses are 2 separate things, you have a clearer picture of it, like your left and right eye. But if you put your finger in front of you and you close one and you close the other and you're looking behind you, you're going to see 2 different things. So this just put the dates of when these things happen and what was going on. I'm not going to go into this, but this process was there. How are we doing for time? Okay, good. I can't stay here any longer. Okay, so it's really a whole new. The universe unfolds as we start to get up to these stars and starting to see the stars. So this is our first section. Now, this next one's going to involve some homework that you need to do. It's really in preparation for the next level classes, but we could have done it to watch the sun. You can do it for watching any planet. We've got to calculate all the aspects that get made to each planet as it goes along through any sign. And they're different as any planet goes through the sign. It's going to make the same sequence of aspects. The moon might do it in 2.5 days, the sun in a month, Mars in a couple of months, each with Jupiter in a year. But as they're going through a sign, it'll make the same sequence of aspects. Always. This is your player piano music. So this is my chart. And my bowl, one-sided as it is. And this is a printed chart, the printout from this is my astrology program I made in the 80s and 90s. It's dated now and I haven't upgraded it. I got to make a new program, and it's hopefully I hope to get a few people together to do this at the end of this webinar series, maybe in January. I could try post some people to make a new modern. This was done in the 90s, so it's still, but it was designed to work with a dot matrix printer and then adopted to work with PDFs. So, but it puts you your heliocentric positions, your geocentric positions, and your right ascension positions of the chart in all 3 systems for the moment you're born. Okay, and then across the top, if you're in the geocentric system, it'll put your ascendant, your house cusps across the top. This bottom line is faded, but it would put the equal houses of the equatorial system. If the equatorial system was selected, these would be highlighted and see the hexagrams for those underneath it. So it has 3 systems, one, but it's really useful looking from one to the other. It also does another thing that's very nice. It has this little routine here that takes all your planets and puts them in order from 0 degrees to 30 degrees, regardless of what sign they're in. You count 0 to 30, and whatever sign is in is what sign is. This is the table that we need to make. So you have this to do. Otherwise, you have to just take a notepad and put in order. Say, okay, Venus would come first. There's 0. Then you look around and see what's next. Oh, there's Scorpio at 4. Jupiter at 4. And Scorpio. What's next? There's 7 degrees. Then it would be Saturn. Oh no, 5 is my ascendant. Oh, the ascendant's up top at 450. And the midheaven would be, so then we ascend, then it would be Saturn, then it would be, so you have to just manually do it if you haven't done this. But this really helps you. As the moon's going through a sign, it's going to make the same sequence. This is your player piano music. And so the sign is going to have a set thing going through your chart. It'll hit these planets in this sequence. For me, I get an emotional thing, then I expand on it, I get enthused about it, then I really identify to it, then I got work to it, then I get serious on our work, I get restricted about it, then I get perhaps a little deluded or idealized about it, and then the node comes in, and then I get confronted about it, then I have to start thinking about it, then I start doing something about it, then I start having my feelings get involved, I start having moods about it, then I'm trying to break through and do something different with it, then I get my confidence out of it. That's my sequence. Everyone's going to have their own sequence. And it's a very unique thing. It's not something we normally see. So you're going to have this. This isn't the form I have that I've handed out to you. We're going to organize, by the end of the classes, I'm going to get a new set of non-audio files to go with the videos. But for the meantime, you have it. You can get a screenshot of this so you can get this, or you can just use a spreadsheet and put the degrees, seconds, minutes, planets, and the signs, Aries, Taurus, up to Pisces, along the spreadsheet. Okay, so I had done this in a spreadsheet, but then once I had the spreadsheet, I had the symbols put down here and I could move them into the different areas to fill it out. But what we first have to do, that's long enough that you can get a screenshot of this if you want. Then you go and you take the degree, you just take that sequence just as it's written, 0 Sag, 20 Venus, 4 Scorpio, 37 Jupiter, and you're just writing them in on this side in the right order and put them in like that. It's a really useful thing to do. I mean, having this sequence, I used to always put as a bookmark and have it as a bookmark and put it in books. So I'd always have this handy with me when I was reading something. You can see these sequences again. Then it's easier to estimate when the aspects would be when something's going through a sign. Oh, it's going to be this. It's going to happen in this way. So doing moon signs or sun signs, watching things going, you get a quick way. Like some of this really was useful when I was doing radio shows and talk shows and talking to people's charts right off the top, and I could work this in my mind a little more clearly. But this is going to become very valuable in progressions when we're making those sheets out, those charts out. So when you look at this, if say the moon or any planet, the sun, any planet goes into Aries, when it hits 0 degrees Aries, 019 is going to conjunct it's going to hit Venus, 019, but it's going from Aries to Sag. Ah, that's a trine. Boom, it's a trine. Then it gets to 4 degrees, it's at Jupiter, but it would be 150. We don't use it that much. It's a minor aspect. So some people do, I don't. But we could put a 150 there. Let's just leave it blank because we were working with major aspects, have the major factors, but you could put it there. Then it hits the ascendant. Again, it's Aries to Virgo, it's 150. It's not an opposite, not a main aspect, so we leave that blank. When it gets to 7 Leo, it's going to be 7 degrees from Aries. It's going to be trining Saturn. Then it's going to hit 8 degrees. When it gets to 8 degrees, 855 is going to oppose the Libra. So you see from Aries, it's going to oppose the Libra. We don't have to do it even in the calculation. When it gets to that degree, it's going to oppose. When it gets to 11 degrees, it's going to be hitting Pluto. Oh, it's going to be a trine, Aries to Leo. Then the 2 in Scorpio to Mercury, Mars, nothing. Then at 1949, it's going to, of Aries, it will square my moon in Cancer. You see that it's 19 degrees, the same degree as the moon, but it's a square. Then we allow a few degrees before or after. This is how you begin to think this through in your own imagination when you're working with a chart. It's really useful. By the time you've done it, this clicks in and it kind of stays with you. It's a useful thing to have. Then when it gets to 21 degrees, oh, it's going to hit Uranus, but what degree? Aries to Gemini, oh, that's a sextile. When it gets to 23, okay, it's going to hit my sun, but it's at 23 degrees of Libra, that's an opposition. When it gets to 28, it would be hitting the midheaven, but it's not really touching it because it's going Aries to Taurus, it would be 30 degrees. So we don't use it. So I don't want the times, I just want what aspect it is. So this will be working for every cycle. Anything you're looking at, you have this already set up. So it's going to go through the sequence. I don't have to worry until I space out with Neptune. I can go along and then I'm going to be challenged with how I'm living. So I can start eating the chocolates or whatever during that. By the time it gets to 19, I'm going to start having some challenges around my health. And then it's going to affect my confidence. Like things would happen like that. So then you go through Taurus. I'm just going to go through this so that you have the example, but it's really like in Taurus, when it gets to 0 degrees, it's going to hit Venus, but it's not the Sagittarius. Scorpio with the opposition. Sagittarius is one sign, it's 150 degrees, so we're not using that in conjunctor. Or it's just we're not using the in conjunction, so we don't put anything there. When it gets to 4 degrees, it's going to oppose to Jupiter at 4 degrees. See, Taurus to Scorpio for the opposition. Gets a little bit further, 4 degrees 50. It's going to hit the ascendant, but it's in Virgo, from Taurus to Virgo. That's a trine. Then it's 7 degrees, going to square Saturn. Goes along, it's going to square Pluto. Then it's Taurus to Libra, we're not counting that. But Libra to Pluto, the Taurus to Libra, no, Taurus to Leo, when it's Pluto, it's a square. Then it's going to oppose. So when my moon goes through Aries, I get an opposition. Yeah, I get a few things. But when it goes through Taurus, it hits a lot of stuff in my chart. I'm sweating a little bit more. I have a little more stress building up. If I take an outer planet, Uranus, or something going through Scorpio or going through Aquarius, I can see when these sequences are going to happen like this, rather than just one aspect at a time. You're seeing the whole sequence of it. So we put it in the opposition to Mercury. From Taurus, it goes to Scorpio to Mars, opposition. It gets to Libra, Cancer, Taurus, that's a sextile. Gemini, 30 degrees, nothing. Libra, 150, nothing. So then it hits conjunction, Taurus to conjunction on the midheaven. So you put the next sequence, so you see they're different. Each one along has its own special pattern. So then you go through Gemini, you go 0 degrees Gemini, it's going to oppose Sagittarius, it'll be opposed by Venus. Jupiter, then it's going to hit Gemini to Scorpio, no, but Gemini to Virgo will be a square to the ascendant. Gemini to Leo is a sextile to Saturn. Gemini to Libra is a trine to Neptune. Sextile to Pluto and Leo. Nothing to Scorpio, nothing to Scorpio. Gemini to Cancer, no, 30 degrees, but Gemini to Gemini conjunction Uranus. Trine to Gemini to Libra, and the Sun is going to be trine, so you get the next aspect. I know I'm going fast, but it's good because you want to be able to think like this and get this. But once you have this sequence done and you've got to do it, you really know how to work the aspects just on your own, thinking something through. What degrees, what signs in? Oh, that's a trine. Oh, that's this. It really begins to play. It grows anyways. This comes by just doing charts by. We used to hand calculate them. I've only hand calculated the first 5,000 to 10,000 charts. So that's a lot of charts, and so this thinking came to me just naturally evolved. But here it's really useful to have this. So then we got to do it for Cancer. And when Cancer to Sag, nothing, trines to Scorpio, sextiles to Virgo, squares to Libra. And you can start seeing, there's a pattern how these will go along from sign to sign. We got Leo. See the conjunction. You can see some of these things moving along. There's a kind of pattern to them. We do Virgo, get them along. So each one has its own unique player piano music. There it is. It's your pattern, your rhythm. It will any planet going through a sign, any moon, anything, it will always go in that sequence. There might be a retrograde back and forth over it to get what's it, but it's going in this sequence. This is the way your aspects happen. Your special melodies. Okay, so right now we're not trying to when we're doing the transit, we're calculating the time, the exact time this happens at, or the orb 1 degree before, 1 degree after when it happens at. Or in the chart, we're using 7 or 10 degree orbs when this is happening, but really it's still the same sequence, the same pattern happening. So Libra, Scorpio, Sag, Capricorn, Aquarius. But it shouldn't take you too long to do this. You should be able to do it. This took a long time because I had to use the graphics and get everything in there. But if you use a spreadsheet, you just put 3 letters, trine, sexa, whatever. You just put it in, and you got this doesn't take that long to do because you're not using the ephemeris. You're just coming off your chart. You're putting these things in. 15 minutes, half an hour should be. But then you have it for your lifetime. Okay, so that's our aspect preps.